Happiness Pasta, Episode 1, The Golden Controller. At a corner in the city, there was a small food truck called Happiness Pasta. BUBU and YUKI ran the little truck together. The flavors they cooked were the warmest in the entire city. At mealtime, a long line would always form in front of the truck, and BUBU and YUKI greeted every customer with a smile, serving busy people a taste of comfort and happiness. BUBU cooked the pasta. YUKI prepared the sauces. They were the perfect team. Their warm dishes felt like silent words of comfort, quietly caring for everyone, spreading the taste of happiness to every corner of the city. After a long day of work, they would walk by the river together and watch the sunset slowly fall. The orange-red light shimmered on the water and across their faces. It was a simple happiness, but a very real one. At night, they would curl up on the sofa and play video games they had treasured for years. Those ordinary days held no grand surprises, yet they brought a deep sense of peace. Then one day, a powerful typhoon struck. For days, heavy rain poured without stopping. The news carried worrying reports. PawPaw Village in the mountains had been severely damaged by floods and violent winds. Many animal residents had lost their homes. The entire village was in crisis. BUBU and YUKI watched the news, their hearts heavy. They kept asking themselves if there was anything they could do. That night, their eyes fell upon their long-collected video games at home and BUBU's most treasured possession, the golden controller. They stood quietly, deep in thought. The golden controller was the championship prize BUBU had won in his student days after fighting hard in a gaming competition. That evening, BUBU remembered the pride and joy he felt when he first held it in his hands. The next day, BUBU sold all of his video games, including the golden controller. With the money, they bought food, bread, and fruit, filling the truck neatly from top to bottom. They knew their strength might be small, but they still wanted to do something for the people in the mountain. On the morning they set off, the sun had just begun to rise. BUBU and YUKI exchanged a quiet smile in the dawn light. They knew this would be a meaningful journey. The rain was heavy, the mountain roads slippery and dangerous. They drove carefully through the storm, crossing hills and winding paths until they finally arrived at PawPaw Village. The sight before them was heartbreaking. The village was in ruins, yet many volunteers had already arrived. Everyone shared the same hope, to help in whatever way they could. BUBU and YUKI immediately joined the relief efforts. The truck became busy once again, steam rising from the pots as warm meals were served to volunteers and villagers. The warmth of the food brought gentle smiles to weary faces. Someone laughed and said, "This is the best pasta I've ever had in my life." BUBU and YUKI felt deeply moved. After the meals, BUBU helped rebuild damaged homes, sweating as he carried supplies and repaired structures. YUKI cared for the injured, carefully cleaning wounds and offering medical assistance. In the village, a helpful young leopard named Leo ran messages and coordinated support. Everyone contributed in their own way. At night, they gathered around a fire, looking up at the star-filled sky and softly humming warm lullabies. In that moment, no one felt like a stranger. They felt like family. Under the stars, everyone knew things were slowly getting better. 2 weeks later, thanks to everyone's efforts, PawPaw Village had greatly recovered. BUBU and Leo raised the village sign once again. The air still carried the scent of damp earth, but as the sign stood tall, hope seemed to rise with it. It was time to return to the city. The villagers said their tearful goodbyes, grateful for the warmth BUBU and YUKI had brought. Leo promised he would visit them in the city soon. They believed they would see each other again. But sometimes, life changes in an instant. Exhausted from 2 weeks of non-stop work, even after finishing all their coffee, sleep crept in as they drove home. At a sharp turn, BUBU could not react in time. The truck crashed. The truck was completely destroyed. Thankfully, BUBU and YUKI were unharmed. YUKI softly comforted BUBU, but they both understood their beloved truck could not be repaired. Back in the city, without work and without their truck, life became difficult. Bills piled up on the table. After a long silence, BUBU decided they should return to the mountains for now. YUKI said nothing, but her steady gaze showed her unwavering support. The next day, they visited their kind landlord, Hector. When they told him they were moving back to the mountains, Hector felt sad, but he wished them well. That night, they packed their belongings. YUKI gently told BUBU she had long wanted to live in the mountains with him. As long as they were together, they would be happy anywhere. BUBU folded his clothes with tears in his eyes. The next afternoon, they stood at the train station platform, waiting for the train home. The announcement echoed again and again, as if reminding them that farewell had truly arrived. At the same time, Leo arrived in the city, carrying thank you cards from the villagers. Each card held the same words, "Thank you." But when he reached their home, he saw Hector putting up a rental notice. That was when he learned BUBU and YUKI had already left. After hearing Leo's explanation, Hector finally understood why they had been unable to pay rent. The money had become stories of kindness. Hector's eyes grew wet. In that moment, he made an important decision. He grabbed Leo and began to run. Driving quickly toward the station, Hector kept whispering, "Please let us make it in time." When they arrived, the train was just pulling in. The doors opened gently, as if urging BUBU and YUKI forward. Even though they didn't want to leave, they stepped toward the train. Their eyes were filled with memories. They dared not look back. Then a familiar voice shouted, "No, don't go!" BUBU and YUKI turned around in shock and saw Hector and Leo running toward them. Tears filled their eyes instantly. Under the sunset, they ran into each other's arms. Their shadows stretched long across the platform. That sunset was especially beautiful and especially warm. Like every good story, this one had reached its gentlest turning point. That same day, Hector brought them to his watch shop. He handed them the keys and said softly but firmly, "I've actually been thinking about retiring. This shop, it's yours now." Not only did he give them the space, he also provided funds to help them start again, as gratitude for their kindness. BUBU stood speechless, his eyes red once more. YUKI held his hand gently. They understood. This was not charity. It was kindness returning in a gentle way. Leo immediately called PawPaw Village to share the news. Some villagers laughed, some cried. Many simply placed their hands on their hearts and said, "They deserve this." Soon, the villagers traveled to the city with tools and materials. "This time," they said, "let us help you." The renovation days were busy and joyful. Walls were repainted, floors were repaired, old lights were replaced with warm golden ones. Small plants were placed by the windows. Every day was filled with laughter. 2 weeks later, the restaurant was complete. The sign was hung once again, "Happiness Pasta." This time, it was no longer a food truck, but a real restaurant. On opening day, the shop was warm and lively. Hector, volunteers, villagers, neighbors, and friends all came. They shared the moment together. Their story, like a warm dish, quietly entered people's hearts, reminding everyone that even when storms come, even when things are lost, if we choose kindness, happiness will one day return to us in a gentler way. And Happiness Pasta will continue in this city, cooking warmth for anyone who needs comfort.
I saw a light pass from your hands to mine. A quiet smile, no need to shine. You gave without asking why, and somehow hope learned how to fly. we choose to do. Leave gentle marks we never knew. Kindness goes in circles wide. Heart to heart it multiplies. Every smile we leave behind